Page 201. And if you turn to the truth, then ask yourselves, because you recognize the truth, how can it be that people of your kind, or human beings, pray to fabulated gods and tin gods, and people of your kind, or fellow human beings, who pass themselves off as their representatives, or substitutes, or servants, or hands/helpers, since no gods or tin gods, and no people of your kind, or human beings, as their representatives or substitutes, can be placed next to the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, because it is sublime over all things. Truly, it is only when you start to liberate yourselves from the enticement of your false prophet and false teachings that you recognize that you were servants of gods and servants of tin gods, and prayed to insubstantialities. And only then do you recognize that you once again not only are lying against the truth, but that you are lying to yourselves, and are slandering or calumniating yourselves, which is why everything that you concoct unrightfully betrays or abandons you. Truly, amongst you there are many who listen to the truth, and yet have placed a veil over your true discernment or intellect, so that you cannot understand, and you have shut up your ears with deafness, so that you cannot hear the truth in its value. And even if you see the signs or evidence of the truth with your eyes, then you place a veil over it, so that you cannot see truly, because you are fighting in yourselves against the truth and the untruth, with the effect that you cannot overcome the inner resistance and decide for the real truth, and finally explain or teach everything merely as fables of the old ones. And those amongst you who hypocritically boast of having knowledge of the truth, and yet do not act according to it, because you keep yourselves far from it, you dare forbid people of your kind, or fellow human beings, to turn to the truth. Therefore, you are casting people of your kind, or fellow human beings, into ruin, just as yourselves. It is just that you do not understand it. If you could only see how you are placing yourselves into the fire of inequity, or unfairness, then you would wish that you could turn back to the truth, although you are deprived of this because you treat the signs or evidence of the truth as lies, and are believers in godliness, or religion, and its gods and tin gods. And those amongst you who have turned to the truth, but have not yet become clear about what you used to conceal, or falsify and deny, with regard to the truth, you are constantly on the edge of the abyss, or run the risk of returning to forbidden things, or falling back into unknowledgeness, and once again becoming ample liars and slanderers, or calumniators of the truth, if you do not strengthen yourselves in what has been proclaimed or announced to you through the truth teaching. And be certain, or knowing, that there is no other life than the corporeal or earthly one, and therefore the mortal life in which you can fulfill or master your consciousness or duty, in ample obligation or responsibility for your unfolding or evolution, for your inner world or consciousness. And when you die, then you cannot be reawakened, because your inner world or consciousness, and your all of yourself, or personality, is dissolved into unsubstantial activity, or energy, from which a new all of yourself, or personality, and a new inner world, or consciousness, is formed and born, together with the reawakening, or rebirth/reincarnation of the spirit body, or spirit form. And the other life after dying is the death life, in the world of invisibility, or other world, and you cannot either see or grasp it, because it is of fineness, or fine fluidalness. and the world or sphere/level of the incorporeal or spiritual is of unearthly appearance or nature. Truly, you shall be knowing or conscious in the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, so that you are not losers, and do not deny the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation. Be knowing or conscious in the truth, so that the hour does not come on you unexpectedly when woe befalls you because you neglected the truth and the truth teaching, and you have to carry a heavy load on your back, under which you collapse because you are too heavily loaded with unright and unrighteousness, or consciencelessness, with inequity or unfairness, and virtuelessness. Life in this world is not a game and no pastime, but an existence or life for the fulfillment of the conscientiousness or duty, in obligation or responsibility, to give fullness or satisfaction to the unfolding or evolving of the inner world or consciousness, and for creating knowledge and wisdom, as well as love and peace and consonance or harmony and freedom. Truly, you should understand this. You are sad in your thoughts and feelings, and you become enraged if the truth is proclaimed or announced to you through the true prophets. Therefore you accuse them of falseness or deviousness, and deny the signs or marvels that they do as activities of the shadow world or activities of hell, and outrages or crimes against your fabulated or invented gods and tin-gods. Truly, in your unknowledge about the truth, you have, since time immemorial, accused the truth-teaching and the prophets as being fallacious. And you also do the same thing today, but despite your persecution and slander or calumny, they remained patient, as they still remain patient today, and give you their help and teach you the teaching of the prophets. And truly, there is not one amongst you who could change even one word of the truth, of the teaching, of the laws and recommendations, of the primal wellspring of all vitalities, or creation. So the tidings of the teaching of the prophets will remain preserved for all time as the quote, Goblet of the Truth. And when your own unwillingness towards the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, becomes painful to you, then it seems to you as if you were sinking into a deep shaft in the earth. However, if you find willingness and gratification in the truth teaching, then it is to you as if you had found a ladder leading to the firmaments or universe, and were receiving signs or evidence of the truth from there. Therefore, it is your will to decide whether you will sink into the earth because of your unknowledge, or whether you will climb into the firmaments or universe through your truth knowledge, and the love and consonance or harmony that proceeds out of it, as well as the freedom and peace in yourselves. And truly, you can only listen and absorb or learn as long as you are alive or connected to the truth and knowing. But when you are dead or not connected to the truth and unknowing, then you cannot listen and cannot absorb or learn. Therefore, you must awaken yourselves to the truth first, so that you may become alive or connected to the truth and knowing. Truly, you cannot say that no signs or evidence have been given to you through the prophets regarding the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, because they have been given to you on many occasions, as the truth teaching has been proclaimed or announced to you time and time again. But you have treated it with contempt and are now obliged to search for it anew. And you have been taught that all the animals and other creatures on earth are collectives just as you. So each bird that flies on its wings, and each fish that swims, as well as every animal that runs, and countless others that crawl and fly. Those amongst you, however, who do not heed these things, and reject the signs or evidence of the truth, you are deaf and dumb in yourselves, and you live in darkness in your inner world or consciousness, without knowledge, love and wisdom, and without peace, freedom, and consonance or harmony, because you are going into confusion and are refusing to walk on the right way, which leads you to the light of the truth. Consider your existence or life in all things, so that you are not sad and not full of fear when the hour or death catches up with you, so that you may pass away or die in peace and joy. Truly, when the hour or death comes, then you will call for the truth, but you will not forget what evil and terrible things you have done in your life. Therefore, you will pass away or die in fear. Be certain, or knowing, that you will always be rewarded according to how you lead your life in all things, because whatever you take in your hand, or do, you create your own reward with it. This is given through the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities, or creation, so that you may receive your reward in equitableness or fairness, according to how you conduct or care for your thoughts and feelings, and how you carry out your deeds. Therefore, consider that it is you yourselves who form your foreordination, or destiny. Therefore it is not the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, because they merely advise you what results as gain or activity from the wellspring of power, or cause. Truly, you alone form everything, therefore you create tribulation and misery for yourselves, and humiliate yourselves if you do not heed and follow the guidelines or basic rules of the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation. There is no law and no recommendation of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation that demands submissiveness or other subservience from you, because submissiveness is a punishable disparagement or contemptibility that is only demanded by people of your kind, or human beings, for people of your kind, or fellow human beings, in order to keep you in abasement or subservience/servitude, so that you can be exploited in every possible wise. And truly, as the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation and its laws and recommendations do not demand submissiveness from you, neither do they demand any punishment for what you do in inequity or unfairness and unrighteousness or consciencelessness, as well as in virtuelessness and in unknowledge of the truth, because what punishment you suffer is what you inflict on yourselves when you harden your thoughts and feelings and your inner world or consciousness, as well as your psyche, because in yourselves you consider everything evil as well done or convenience, and are willingly devoted to it. Truly, you continually forget what admonishments are granted to you through the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, which opens the gateway of all things, or knowledge and wisdom, to you, so that you can comprehend or understand everything, so that you can take joy in all things, and do not cast yourselves into darkness or despair. Do not be malefactors or irresponsible ones against the truth, neither as a people nor as a single one or individual, but obtain for yourselves the gain or reward that comes forth to you from the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, if you follow them. If your hearing and your face or eyesight were taken away, and your inner world or consciousness sealed, then you would be deaf and blind and without thoughts and feelings, and no one could give you the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, because you could not hear anything, see anything, or comprehend or understand anything in true discernment or intellect. But even without your hearing and your face or eyesight being taken away, and without your inner world or consciousness being sealed, so that you can hear and see and use your true discernment or intellect, you still turn away from the teaching of the truth, and do not heed the manifold signs or evidence which are given to you through the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, and through its appearance or nature. If an unexpected and evident punishment were meted out on you through the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, or through its laws and recommendations, as people of your kind, or human beings, mete out punishment on people of your kind, or fellow human beings, then you would be destroyed as a people and as single ones, or individual ones. But the primal wellspring of all vitalities, or creation, is fair, and does not mete out punishment on its creatures and creations, because punishment is a concoction or invention by people of your kind, or human beings, in deviancy and Ausartung. Truly, you can learn these things through the teaching of the prophets, who bring their knowledge and their wisdom to you as the quote, Goblet of the Truth. But the true prophets are not envoys of fabulated or invented gods or tin gods. Rather, they have arisen from themselves, or from their own determination, so that they are for you bringers of joyful messages, and are warners for you for what you do that is of terribleness and inequity or unfairness, as well as of unrightness and virtuelessness, by which you create unlove, unfreedom or bondage, dissonance or disharmony, and unpeace and jealousy, as well as hatred, revenge and retaliation, killing, battle or war, destruction, and outrage or crime, and other lawlessness. Those amongst you, however, who follow the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, and the laws and recommendations of people of your kind or society, no fear and no sorrow shall come over you through misdemeanors against the standing rules and regulations, because you allow yourselves to be led or guided by the guideline or guidance of the laws and recommendations. Those amongst you, however, who reject the signs or evidence of the truth and of the laws and recommendations, you will be brought to account through yourselves and through a punishment of the jurisdiction for your disobedience. Truly, in the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, and in its laws and recommendations, there are all the treasures that you can imagine, but they remain hidden to you until you turn to them and follow them. And if you turn and follow the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, then your inner world or consciousness will be open and will recognize the truth of all truth. Therefore, you will also recognize that the true prophets are not liberators or angels, and not envoys of fabulated or invented gods and tin gods, but that they are people of your kind, or human beings, as you are yourselves, and that their knowledge and their wisdom has not been disclosed to them by gods or tin gods. Rather, that they fathom out, or work out, everything themselves by learning the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities, or creation, and of its appearance, or nature, in true discernment, or intellect. And truly, you cannot match one another in your and their knowledge, and in your and their wisdom, because you are the blind ones, and the true prophets are the seeing ones, even though they do not raise themselves up above you or threaten you, but place themselves as equal with you in contentment or modesty. Truly, you should think this over. Warn yourselves and be afraid that you might be gathered together and punished by people of your kind or fellow human beings when you do things that are unrightful, so that you no longer find any friend or spokesperson or defender to stand by you in order that you might find clemency or grace by admitting to your unright and sincerely regretting it, so that you change yourselves and become righteous or conscientious and fair or responsible. And those amongst you who are unfair ones or irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones or conscienceless ones, do not drive out from their place those who do themselves good or learn in the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, and who are striving for the face or flawlessness of the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation. Because as people of your kind or human beings, you are responsible for their well-being, just as they are responsible for your well-being. Therefore you shall not drive them out, so that you do not act unfairly, and do not straiten or endanger/harm your own well-being. If you are unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, or conscienceless ones, then put yourselves to the test as to what extent you are gracious or mild towards yourselves, and gracious or mild towards people of your kind or fellow human beings, so that you may learn to appreciate in gratitude yourselves and people of your kind or fellow human beings, and to show them deference or esteem. And if you find the way to the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, then peace as well as truthly love will come to you, also consonance or harmony, and the freedom of your inner world or consciousness. And if you find the way to the real truth, then you accept yourselves in yourselves, and show benevolence to yourselves. And if you are connected to the truth, and you unknowingly do something evil, and regret it thereafter, and knowingly or consciously abstain, or liberate yourselves from the same evil, then you can forgive yourselves, as also people of your kind, or fellow human beings, forgive you. And truly, the Goblet of the Truth, the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, makes it clear to you, through all its signs or explanations, that you will find the way to the truth of the primal wellspring of all vitalities or creation, and that you will become one with the truth, if you connect yourselves or make a bond with it.